Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Den Excelsior, the Mostly Marvel podcast. This is episode 169. I'm your host, Ricky. With me, as always, Dennis.
Yeah, I guess I'm his co-host.
You're something like that. We're co-people. We
something
coexist.
Like yeah. What's up? What are we talking about this week?
We are talking about Captain America, but not that one, the other one.
Yeah, we're doing the old school one, and that's why our show's a little early because Ricky is going to actually be seeing the new one on Thursday.
Yeah,
and I'm going to be seeing it on Friday. So we figured, you know what, you guys get 1 week before we spoil the crap out of that movie.
Yeah, we'll be behind everyone else, but it'll work out.
Yeah. Because then we can give more nuanced opinion. No, not really, probably not, but it's okay. We'll probably just say whether we like it or not. But yeah, no, I think I just jumping the gun a little bit, but like it was really fun to watch that movie, knowing that I'm going to go see the fourth one in the franchise. You know what I mean? Like, and a very different version of Captain America. On Friday. So it was fun to take it back. I've been enjoying revisiting the MCU finally. Like, just to be clear, like I never pulled the trigger on these during the pandemic. I always looked back as like I don't rewatch the MCU like as much as people may think I do. I haven't watched these movies in years.
I don't watch them in their full, but I do on a weekly basis watch clips that just pop into my mind.
Yeah, I don't do it because like I just think that the memory of them just works so good in my head. So I think this is only the third time I've ever seen Captain America: The First Avengers. So same with Thor. That was the third time I've seen it. A lot of these I've seen all of these probably. I think the last time I binged them all was before like Infinity War or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like what was that, like 2016, something like that? Yeah, when it wasn't the most daunting task ever. But ever since then, yeah, I rarely go back and rewatch MCU movies because I'm just kind of really happy with the experience I got, or upset with the experience, or whatever. But like, I think when the pandemic hit, I was like, okay, this might be the time to break the glass in case of emergency, just to give me something to fill me with joy for, like 20 some weeks, maybe, or 20 some days, or 30 days, or whatever. Watch one a week, one a day, whatever. But I ultimately just found a lot of other things to do to occupy my time. I took up toy photography, I did a lot of other stuff, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to save them. I don't need them right now. So this is actually quite cathartic for me to go back and visit all these movies. So I'm enjoying this run that we're doing right now. It's way better than finding crappy movies to watch, for sure.
Yes. I don't get, I mean, people have their opinions about these movies in general, but like, and I know we have different opinions on what we consider a good movie. And if I can be entertained for the duration of a movie, good or bad, in terms of perceived quality or writing or acting or some of all, if I'm entertained, then fine. Like, I think that's all I look for. I don't get. I feel like sometimes people like hate watch some of these movies to try to nitpick or to compare them to high cinema. And I don't think that's what they are, but also that's not what they're trying to be.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not trying to be high
it's
cinema.
Spoil of riches, where we're on a fourth Captain America movie. A second Captain America. Will we make it to 3 Captain Americas in MCUs? Who knows? But it's crazy that we gotten this far. Calm down, everybody.
We have gotten 3. I mean, we got Captain Carter. We did get Captain Carter. Yeah, but it's still the
her
same
toy thing. Is not Captain.
Also, we did get John Walker. So there you go. Shut up.
There you go. We got 3. We'll get 4.
Maybe not. Probably not. But yes, we did get 3. Yeah, no, it is. It is, as our friend of the show always says, an embarrassment of riches. I lost my voice there while I was saying that. An embarrassment of riches that we are living in right now. Whether it be Marvel or DC, it's a pretty cool thing. But yeah,
Well,
we do the show.
what shows are you currently watching this week that no one else is watching?
Are you asking me what I'm nerding out on? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
I've been nerding out on Dexter still. Like I'm on the second season.
Are you gonna finish it?
I like this show. I don't know. Like I said last week, I said we live in the time of Luigi Mangione. It's a very different world than when the show came out. Dexter just kind of works for me now. I don't know, but I love it. We enjoy the second season more than the first season, and I'm sure it'll go downhill at some point. I did go and read more things about the actors just to because what the juice you gave me was just gross, and I needed to have some positive juice, and so I got some. I learned that the actor actually got cancer in the 5th season and had to wear a wig as he went through chemo, and then he ended up becoming a spokesperson for a lot of different cancer organizations. So yeah, it's
Good on Michael C. Hall.
yeah. And yes, he did marry the woman who plays his sister on that show for 3 years, and she was there with him along the way during the cancer and getting into remission.
Wait, he
And then
left him after the cancer?
they got divorced, but amicably. So they are still good
Man, that's what they
friends.
all say.
They still, I think
That's
they
what they
still did
all
the
say.
show. I don't know if she dies. I don't want to know. No spoilers for
I
me,
don't
but
I don't know, but I mean, that's
I mean,
grosser than them dating.
what? That's
That's
grosser
gross.
than the dating. Yeah, they
Yeah.
got married. They were married for 3 years during the filming of that show. So, I mean, I'm not judging. It's it's acting. It's all acting. So it's not supposed to be real. It's okay. It's their jobs. Aside from that, I did go to the Comic-Con Museum today to check out an exhibit that they've had running for a few months on it's kind of draws the through line of from Greek mythology all the way to our modern day superheroes. And
Mhm.
a lot of the exhibit was donated by some Italian collectors. So you'll see a lot of Italian versions of American comics on display. You'll see, and then I guess the guy, my friends told me to go see it because they're like, you got to see the toy collection. And like, he's got like a whole Marvel Legends display. And then he's got a DC collectibles display as well. Like,
Are they
and
like modern legends or older legends?
it's a mix. It's not my preferred mix for sure.
So you're saying is your collection better than this guy's?
Yes.
Are they in
Yes.
box?
No, he doesn't. But no, it would look weird in box.
I'm just asking questions.
No, they're in little display cases, like museum display cases. It's cool. It's cool to look at. I appreciate
You
the
have something to aspire to when
no, he should aspire to me. No, I think it's impressive to see them all on display. That's something to, I guess that's something to aspire to, is figure out a way to do that. But no, it was cool to see. Like, I think this is two times in a row I've gone to Comic-Con Museum and I've been kind of like meh. But then I remember that it's not necessarily for me, right? Like I think the Comic-Con Museum is really awesome at onboarding people and making sure that younger people are interested in this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I think I went 2 years ago. This is where I got this sweater, actually, or this shirt, for the Beyond Amazing Spider-Man like celebration. And when I went and I saw it, I was kind of like meh, because I felt like I didn't learn anything about Spider-Man that I didn't know, right? But I'm not the typical person,
yeah, it's
right?
like if Indiana Jones went to a museum, probably think it sucks ass.
That's a fair assessment, actually. Yes. So seeing the exhibit on the evolution of the Greek myth all the way to the modern myth, yeah, I mean, I actually studied a lot of Greek myths when I was a kid in high school and stuff like that. It was a thing I was a really big fan of. It was funny because I was literally playing Hades this morning before I went to to the
I mean,
thing.
are
So
you excited for Nolan's Odyssey movie?
yes, yeah, I think that would be cool. I geeked out when I was at the museum and the gift shop because they have a graphic novel of the Iliad, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. I didn't know they made these into graphic novels and stuff. So like my point is I think it's a really cool exhibit for people who are curious, are comic curious. You know what I mean? Like it's cool, and I think that's a really noble thing to have Comic Con be its goal. That said, I did go downstairs. They don't just have one exhibit; they have multiple exhibits. I went downstairs and there's like a whole exhibit on the history of like Betty Boop, and they have a screening room where you can like watch old Betty Boop cartoons, and that was awesome because like there's something to be said about the quality of animation from way back in the day. Like it was like the meticulousness of it was crazy back then. You know what I mean? Like decades of animation have turned into more streamlined effects, you know, like affairs, like where it's like, you know, even Batman the animated series, like it looks cool, but also they had to cut corners. And so like the way they draw those characters
I
is
mean,
very
yeah, but this,
minimalist,
you're
you know?
comparing stuff that, I mean, this is stuff that was played in like theaters
Yeah,
in its
I know,
time. Yeah.
but I'm saying like even the stuff played in theaters in its time had more motion than some Disney movies. You know what I'm saying? Like it's,
Hmm.
I'm not saying it's better. Like don't get me wrong, but it's cool to see the history of like modern animation. You know, like in on display. It's
I've
a cool thing.
many a great memories in that building and in that basement. We had a work party there when I worked at the zoo, and that basement was like the nightclub. Um,
The
and
nightclub for zoo people.
yes, they turned it into a nightclub for a
That's
night, and
cool.
it was the last time they did that for obvious reasons.
Nice. Good to know. Good to know. Don't touch anything in that basement, is what you're
No,
saying.
is the boat still there?
The boat.
There was a
No,
boat, like a huge ass boat in the basement.
no. There
Oh,
was a whole section on like the costumes of the Comic-Con masquerade. They only
oh,
they
that's kind
only
of cool.
they only have the cool ones there for sure, but like
Who are the cool
yeah,
ones? Wait,
there's one, I mean like nice looking one, not
yeah.
nothing that doesn't make the cut is what I'm saying, you know what I mean? But there's like one guy
Well, I
that
feel
like
like
had
that's
like
what the masquerade. Like, I don't. People always ask me like, "Do you ever go dress up while I'm there?" I don't. I've only dressed up like once or twice, but like I always equate it to like the big leagues, and
yeah.
it's so much. If you're gonna dress up and like compete or be, I don't say be noticed 'cause that sounds different, but there's just the baseline bar. I feel like Comic Con in terms of cosplay is like leagues above your typical con.
Yeah, you know, strangely, I've always been more impressed with the cosplay at WonderCon, which is like the sister of
I lumped the
Comic-Con.
two, but yes.
I think they get more cosplayers to come out to that one. Like not more, but like more high quality ones from LA
Hmm.
and stuff like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because there's like in that area. But yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of cool things at Comic Con, but like the cool thing is like, you know, the all the museums like every Tuesday they rotate which ones are free. So
Hmm.
we got to go to a free one today. And then when I was in the gift shop, I found the Batman Zero Point like collected hardcover, and I found it like it still had the Fortnite code, and so I bought it and I gave Lindsay the code because I wanted her to have all the stuff in it. And I tried buying that book at Comic Con last year and I couldn't find it. It was just like sold out everywhere.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
yeah, so
I
that's
got.
what I've
I'm
been
trying to
nerding out
remember if
on.
I got those. I got those through DC Direct.
Yeah, so did I. I did too, but you can no longer redeem them digitally anymore. Like
You can side
the
tangent. Oh,
that promotion ends in 2 months. I mean, it's been going for like 4 years. So,
yeah.
but yeah.
If you're a resident in San Diego County and go to the library, you can check out tickets to museums as well. You don't have to wait till Tuesday.
Yeah, Lindsay actually got tickets also through the library last week, but then she realized, oh hey, I don't have to spend my tickets this Tuesday because Comic Con's
So
for
y'all are
3 weeks.
holding on tickets.
We are holding on tickets. We are
Frowned
holding
upon
on
in the
tickets.
library community.
What?
It's
What
a
do you mean?
library crime. You
The
already
library.
went. You already went.
Oh,
Give them back.
I don't know which one she got tickets to.
Oh no, yeah, there's specific tickets to museums, right? Or like the pass.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
She just came back from the library last week and told me, "Oh, that's cool. You can check out free tickets, blah blah blah." And then she's like, "By the way, the Comic-Con is free on Tuesday, so we don't have to use tickets for that."
Yeah.
So I'm not trying
There
to
you go.
incriminate somebody. Go to the library, people. The library's cool. It's
Yeah.
awesome. You can do 3D printing there too. You can do all kinds of stuff. What about you? What have you been nerding out on besides the big game?
I mean, the big game was cool. That halftime
I
was amazing.
the halftime show was amazing. That's the only thing
Um,
I've watched since. Yes.
I mean, I'll touch. I liked it a lot. I've seen Kendrick Lamar perform live in person. Like I've been front row at his concerts. It's a good show. My only wish or what if is like if there wasn't a underlying beef going on, would it have been a better show? Because you're not focusing all that attention on.
I felt like the beef was over a while ago, and now it's the victory lap that he's taking. The man won 5 Grammys for that beef. I don't think the beef is still in play anymore. You know what I mean? Like now it's just like I saw him smiling at the camera. That shit was hilarious, man. That
Yes,
was so funny.
diabolical.
He is not
Bugs Bunny energy is what they're calling it.
for reals, man.
But
Yeah.
the big game, that's always fun. We always have people over. I guess that's my thing now is having like a Super Bowl party. Never thought
That's
that'd be
cool.
my thing, but
That's a
I
lot
kind of
of
like it.
people's things. That's a lot of
I look
people's
forward
things.
to it having friends over watching sports.
Good, good. I'm
We
glad I got an
watched.
invite. Glad for the invite.
We'll find a way to get you here one day. Are, invites aside, are we? You mentioned WonderCon. Are we going to WonderCon?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I definitely got the itch today for like from being at the museum. I'll check. I'll follow up after this. But WonderCon, for anybody who doesn't know, is run by the same people who run San Diego Comic-Con, which is the largest comic convention in the world. WonderCon is not the largest convention in the world. It's very small. It's in Anaheim at the Disney convention center across the street from Disneyland. But it's
so
cool.
Comic-Con, the way Comic-Con's ran is very unique to Comic-Con. There's other conventions, but the way they run and structure them are inherently different. But WonderCon, being owned by the same entity, they operate at a smaller scale, granted, under the same principles in terms of their panels and what they choose to offer and basically how they run the whole thing. So I think that's why it's a nice.
But it does.
It's a baby first Comic-Con.
It does. It is, and it feels like you're going to see all the same. You're going to see all the same signage, the same fonts, the same types of organization as far as like the panels go. This, a lot of things are the same. It's just less than it's a smaller scale, like you said.
Less smaller scale, less people inherently, shorter lines.
It's a 3-day show as opposed to a 5-day show.
Yeah.
I usually can get done with that whole show in one day.
Yeah,
Ricky and I historically we've gone on a Saturday and then been done and said bye.
Yeah.
Usually we go inside after we get all our tickets, hang out with Ricky for about 5 minutes, and then he just takes off, and then that's it.
Yeah,
and then we're like,
we take our ceremonial edible and we disperse.
and his mom's like, take care of my son. I'm like, I don't see your son. He's gone. He's gone.
I look forward to eating food there for whatever reason or other. That's just my
they have
weird
an excellent accessible food court or food truck area. Yeah, it's quite good. So yeah, no, I'm interested. It might be I go and maybe Lindsay doesn't go. We'll see what it is. But yeah, I'm interested.
All right. Severance, another episode. Severance this week. Really the only other thing I watched.
I'm sad you didn't watch Invincible.
I want to. I think I'm gonna wait for it all to come out and watch it all at once.
Besides Captain America, you had one job. It's sad.
I had no time. There's just no time anymore.
2 45-minute episodes. Watch them while you're eating dinner. Dinner.
I am in school full time. You know that, right?
Dinner.
To work full time.
You got a dinner. You got to eat dinner. You gotta
don't
get
have to.
you gotta get your girlfriend watching Invincible with you.
I've thought about showing her. She doesn't like the violence. I don't know if she'll.
Uh,
Well, she's not about the boys, but I think Invincible mincible might work.
Man, Invincible's
But
rough with the violence sometimes.
we'll see. I mean, it's the writing of that show is the writing of those books, and those books are surprisingly well written. You know what I did?
Surprisingly, it's the guy who wrote The Walking Dead.
Not surprisingly, it's
Okay.
sorry. If the books are well written, and the show is based on the books pretty directly in some cases, it's like okay, it translates over. But Severance, the episode, great. They're the questions of like, oh, what would happen if like, what about this part of like office culture? They tackle more of those in season 2, and they do some really cool things there.
That's cool.
I read Saga. I read the first book of Saga.
Nice. Lindsay has 13 books of it.
A coworker was reading it, and he's like, "You know about Saga?" And I'm like, "You know what's funny? Like, it's the same thing as Invincible. Like, I would see this thing at Comic-Con. I know it has sex and animal people.
Mm-hmm. Do you know
And
that
there's
it's written by
a shit ton of them.
Do you know that it's written by the same person who writes The Runaways?
I learned that as soon as I started reading it. I'm like, oh, I recognize his name, Brian K. Vaughan.
Yep. He also
I can see why people like it. I can see why there's 13. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. There's more than 13.
Gifted me a copy of Why the Last Man signed by Brian K. Vaughan. I still have that somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, I probably did that.
Who else would my grandmother did?
No, I probably did that. I could see myself doing that. Yeah, it sounds right. And what'd you think
cool.
of it?
I liked it. I wouldn't say
surprised.
I would say I loved it. I might pick up like if it's on sale at Comic-Con for whatever it's the paperback. You know, I might pick it up.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at it, but right. I see these things, they're in my ethos for years, right? Even The Walking Dead was in my sphere before the show. And then it unfortunately for me, it takes a show to like, oh, let me go buy those books now.
Yeah, I feel
But I guess that's how it is.
I have a lot of books that I bought from Comic-Con that I still haven't gotten around to, and then I have a lot of books that we consolidated, you know, when we got married, because Lindsay had her own stuff that she collected, and I had mine. So I inherited or you know, the whole set of Sandman and Walking Deads and stuff, and I have not read.
Canceled.
I know, but it's still after a second season. The second season is still coming out. I know. I heard about that. That hurts. That hurts, man. That was a fantastic show. It really was. And yeah, I could almost cry when I read that information. Was that one of the newses that you found out recently, or?
No, that was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a bummer. But since you didn't watch Invincible, I will let you know. Yeah, I finished watching the last 2 episodes that aired, or because they dropped 3 episodes for the first week of the premiere. I only watched 1 before we watched the show. Before we did the show last week, I ended up because I was sure we were going to talk about them today. I watched the other 2 today, like on my meals, and I will say this season is really funny because, you know, every season kind of starts with like, okay, here's what's going on with them. And then at the end of the first episode, they're like, and here's the villain, you know, like here's the villain for the season, right? Or maybe it's at the beginning of the episode. Like I think last season it was at the beginning of the season, the first episode, right? Is this season so far it went like 3 episodes, and I'm like, wait a second, is this the villain? Because it was, I wouldn't say it was meandering. It was just kind of like catching you up on a lot of things for like 3 episodes, which were cool things. I'm not trying to spoil anything, but they're very cool things happening. You know, like the biggest one being, you know, that as a reminder, you know, Invincible has a half brother that him and his mom are now trying to raise, and they want to make sure that kid gets raised right, because he also is the son of Nolan, and he potentially is an incredibly dangerous human or alien being, whatever. But so he's struggling with that. He's struggling with that time travel thing that he did last season where he got to meet Eve, like 40-year-old Eve, and she's like, go tell her you love her or not, whatever, just do one of the two. And he's struggling with that. He's struggling with working with Cecil, because Cecil is a shady individual, and Cecil doesn't quite trust Mark and stuff. There's all these things going on, and I'm like, okay, this is fun, but like, where is this going? And then there's a moment in the 3rd episode of the season where like, oh crap, it's been going there this whole time and I didn't even notice it, and this is going to be a rough ride. It's going to be a rough ride. I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't watched it yet, but like it's going to be cool. So I'm pretty excited for this season, more so than I was for the previous season. I don't read the books. I mean to. I always mean to. I might pick them up at Comic-Con. There's so many things I
do
want to read.
appreciate. I know it happens both in the books and in the show. He is like, he's physically different in each season. Like they're showing, he does have like a physical. His body does change. He has the ages, and that's kind of a neat. It's a neat thing that shows don't do, or like some of these shows neglect to do, especially if they're
people don't grow up either.
As they do.
Yeah.
People age in this show in cool ways.
Yeah, I mean, people always say like in comic books, like I think Spider-Man has probably aged more than most characters ever in comic books. You know what I mean? Because he started as 15 and now he's like in his 30s. And yet somehow every other superhero ever is also still in their 30s. Like it doesn't make sense, but whatever. It's fine. But yeah, no, I don't know how many books have you read in Invincible?
None.
Oh,
I know where the season goes though.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. I don't know where it goes, except other than what I think I know where it's going.
Oh, well, spoilers.
Fine. I can't pull one over on you.
Should we do some news?
Yes, please.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man actor, Coleman Domingo, was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast this week, talking about the show he's currently on. Okay. During that episode, he basically addressed the rumors that he was going to be tapped in to play Kang in MCU. And per his words, he actually heard these rumors, like all of us did, and had him and his team then like contact Marvel to just be like, "Hey, what's up? Are you thinking of this?" And basically, so he left that conversation. That conversation essentially kind of more or less led to where he was at now with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Oh, okay. They're like, thanks for calling. We'd never considered you, but would you like to be Norman Osborn? Was that basically?
I kind of want to be Norman though. We're due for a Norman.
I love him as animated Norman. So like, if the MCU is kind of following like the idea of what James Gunn's trying to do,
can you have Norman without Harry? Let me ask you that.
In fairness, there's no Harry in the first Spider-Man game. So yeah, I guess you can.
All right. Yeah.
Right? Like he's not in the first game.
Yes.
And
they do know each other.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like, as long as there's the possibility of a Harry at some point, I don't think Norman has to be introduced at the same time as Harry. You know,
right.
Like I think there's no reason, like, and this, we'll talk about this more in the movies, and when we're talking about Captain America later, but there's no reason that the writers of these stories need to be compelled to do things exactly the way the comic books did, because that's not fun for people who read the comics if you're just seeing the thing done again the same way. I'm not saying make giant sweeping changes to it, but I think as long as you capture the spirit of and the intent of the books, then you're gold, So I think currently this show is doing a great job of that, right? Like, is it weird that they've replaced Spider-Man's very well-known supporting cast, who, arguably has one of the greatest supporting casts in comic books, most recognizable supporting cast outside of maybe like Superman, who like, or like, I was gonna say Batman, but Batman is just pretty much like Gordon and Alfred, right? I mean, yeah, he builds a family as he goes along, right? But like at the beginning, he pretty much just has those two. But like, I think Spider-Man has a really awesome existing group of people in the comics, and it is jarring that these cartoons lately in these last few years keep swapping those out and replacing them with other people. But I think it's also kind of the strength of Spider-Man is like he gets along with a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like he he's in you can put him in a lot of situations, and so I don't mind if they want to put Norman in a movie and not do Harry, it's fine. It can work. It's like, we'll see. It'll be surprising because we'll be like, whoa, where's Harry? And then 5 years later we'll be like, oh, Harry's been abroad for the whole time. So like, whatever, it's cool. But what about you? Like, what did you get any confirmation on that Kang story? I was getting, I was salivating there. I was
that
like,
part
wait,
of the story is like was not addressed.
I've heard the rumor. I think, did you say the rumor a few weeks ago is that they're considering bringing back Kang, the original actor Jonathan Majors?
I did see that rumor. I didn't mention it, but that
Okay.
talk has been around. I think we get a Kang eventually, whether that's 5 to 10 years. I don't think he closed the door on that book.
I think it's kind of cool to think that currently Loki and Ant-Man, the events of those have put Kang on pause. You know what I mean? Like it could be.
It's a weird blessing in disguise that this happened to an actor who's playing Kang. Right? Like,
well, because it's time travel, right? So he can just.
It's kind of the only one that can just be other things and still be the same.
Or he can just come in later and be like, "Oh yeah, I was off doing other stuff."
Yeah, like 10 years from now, when we're all
this is the moment in time I chose to join your universe. Like,
yeah, when we're in the 4th Trump presidency and we're past trivial, quote unquote trivial atrocities. Fuck it, Jonathan Majors, you want your job back? Come back as Kang.
I just want you to know that if we end up in the 4th Trump presidency, I will be watching the MCU daily. That glass will be very broken. Yes, I will know all the lines of every movie by heart. I will know every single piece of trivia that I don't know now. Yeah. What other news you got?
The other news came from the big game. We got a new Thunderbolts trailer.
We did.
We got a new Thunderbolts trailer, which is more of the same, but a little more void, right?
A little more Sentry too.
It's a little more Sentry, a little more void.
Yeah.
We get to see what's his name? Bob
Reynolds.
Bob Reynolds. Sorry, Bob Reynolds.
Oh, you mean the character, the actor's name?
No. The character's name, Bob Reynolds. Yeah.
The character's name is Bob Reynolds.
Yeah.
The actor is
Louis Pullman.
Louis Pullman. Yeah.
Top
yeah, we got to see Bob Reynolds in maybe possibly both of his forms. Like, it's a little you gotta, like, don't blink kind of thing, right? He's there, but you gotta.
I like the effects. The void dusting people and leaves like almost like a Fallout shadow on the ground. That's cool. I'm sold.
Yeah. I saw these awesome videos on TikTok, like, because there's always haters, and then there's always I think it's King Lion or King and Queen Lion. It's a creator that likes to jump in and comment on people's stupid takes. And so somebody had a take that was like, can somebody please explain to me how this group of heroes is going to beat the Marvel equivalent of Superman? Like, seriously. And
Writing.
then this guy basically came back and said, through the power of friendship. Like, obviously that's what they're going to do, because they can't do it any other way. They're going to have to talk with him. And it should be noted that, like, every time you see him dusting people in the movie and then encountering them, he's not dusting them. So obviously they're succeeding at playing to his brain, his mind, or his heart. And so it's going to be a fun movie. And obviously writing is the solution for everything. Stan Lee said it a million years ago, which is, whenever fans ask him who's going to win between this character and this character, it's going to be whoever the writer decides wins, like, and they'll figure out. Their job is to make it an entertaining journey, right? Like, that's, like you said, as long as you're entertained, you already know the Thunderbolts are probably going to win against Sentry, right? Like, they're like,
I
that
think
would not be fun.
The bigger question that's really honestly left with me is, there's Val's like at a Senate hearing in the trailer saying she needs to rebuild the Avenger, bring back the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was kind of like not mistaken, that's kind of Sam's job in the movie that comes out this week. So either
it was never Captain America's job to build the Avengers.
He is tasked to rebuild the Avengers in this film. Whether he completes that task, chooses to ignore that task, I don't think we get Avengers by the end of
Captain America.
Captain America.
No, we're not getting Avengers, but I didn't expect this to be a movie where we get Avengers. We may get cameos from Avengers,
but we are like, they're filming an Avengers movie in like 2 months.
Yeah.
When do we see a new Avengers team, or is Doomsday about them forming Avengers, a new team?
I think there's a reason there's a Thunderbolts movie with an asterisk at the end of the title. I think that's the answer I'm giving you for right now.
Okay.
I think that movie is going to be a lot wilder than the trailer's suggesting. And I think they clearly kill Taskmaster very early in that movie to make room for other things that are going to happen in that movie. We keep seeing Taskmaster in the same scene in every time they make a trailer for that movie. And then you never see her again in any other scene. She's dead. That girl's dead. and that's fine. It's fine. That character is we kind of ruined it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they kind of ruined it. And then the fans kind of ruined it too. So, like, let's just scrap this character and move on from it. It's fine. But yeah, I think the reason I'm excited about Thunderbolts is because it's going to usher in the next chapter. It's going to be the beginning of the next chapter. I think if anything, Captain America, is it New World Order? Is that I forget.
Whoa! That's a name you can't change. That's a Nazi.
I can't remember.
Phrase.
Well, that's what it used to be, right?
Brave New World.
It used to be New World Order. Okay, Brave New World. That's what it is. I think Brave New World is going to be like the prologue to what, everything else that comes from it, like, afterwards. So it's gonna be a fun few months. And I think it's important to note that Daredevil is also going to happen in between those. And we're going to be seeing Wilson Fisk as the mayor of New York City. I don't think we should assume that the things happening.
This is COVID.
I don't think we should assume that the things happening in Daredevil are going to have no bearing going forward. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the idea, right? Is they want Daredevil to jump into the movies later at some point. So we're going to get a lot of MCU content in the next few weeks, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. But yeah, I'm excited for Thunderbolts. But if it's not Thunderbolts, I don't think Fantastic Four is where you do it. If anything, Fantastic Four is probably going to play out kind of like the original Captain America movie, where it's going to be this weird story for like the first 2 hours, and then like the last 10 minutes is going to be like, oh, here we are now. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
it feels like that's going to be what they do, right? Like it's,
Mm.
and then it's going to tee up the next Avengers movie, because that's the next thing that comes, right? Or
I think we'll get an answer at the end of this week on why there should or shouldn't be a new Avengers team.
is there
Whether
how many movies are between now and Avengers?
including Cap?
Yes.
So three.
So we're gonna know the answer in one of these 3 movies, right?
Let me just double confirm my news. So far, yes. Keep talking though.
Then I think if there's only 3 left, and I don't think there's any other shows besides Daredevil this year, right?
There is. We get Ironheart and Wonder Man.
Oh, we had an Ironheart and Wonder Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of movies, though, it is what's for this year, and then Doomsday.
Yeah.
Doomsday is May 1st next year.
I don't think Ironheart or Doomsday are teeing up the movie. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, Ironheart or Wonder Man is what I meant to say. I don't think those are teeing up the movie. I think they're going to be like little incidental things, kind of like the way we got Captain Marvel between, Infinity War and Endgame. I'm not saying she's incidental. I'm just saying like this is a thing. It's an interlude.
Wow.
This is an interlude that happens that's going to be relevant in the next movie. But right now, it's just like, here, this is information we're giving you.
Yeah,
I think that's what Wonder Man and Ironheart are going to be. Maybe Ironheart is ballsy enough to introduce Mephisto, but then that's going to be frustrating, because then Mephisto's probably going to like chill out for like 3 more years, and then we won't see him again until Secret Wars or something. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I think if I had to place my bet on which of the 3 movies coming out in the next few months is going to be the one that makes it clear what's happening, I think it's Thunderbolts. That's my guess.
fair enough.
I would be I'd be pleasantly surprised if it's Brave New World instead.
Well, should we just get right into the spotlight then?
Yeah.
Captain America, or Captain America, the First Avenger, as known overseas. 2011.
I think overseas it's known as the First Avenger, and then subtitle Captain America.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
2011. When did I know this one debuted at Comic-Con?
Yeah.
Because we saw it
Mm-hmm.
the day it came out while we were at Comic-Con.
Saw it with Chris Evans.
So when did Thor come out? Because it was before this.
Yeah, I think Thor was in the May slot.
In the May slot. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Cool. Or even earlier, possibly, huh?
Yeah.
Probably in the May slot. Okay. That makes more sense, because I thought I saw Thor in the fall, but now I'm remembering that was Thor 2 that was in a fall movie for sure. Okay, cool. That helps. Yeah. This was I'm happy I watched this, because the first time I watched it, I was drunk off my ass from a Comic-Con party. I was hanging out with Joe Quesada at an IGN party, and I was like, Joe Quesada, I'm so drunk. I'm gonna go watch Captain America right now. And he's like, do me a favor, tweet me, how it was afterwards. And I'm like, okay. And I just drove my wheelchair down like a couple blocks to the movie theater. That was a crime, probably, that I did. And I got there with everybody, watched the movie, and
we did not watch it together. Don't.
No, not you.
This is when we did not hang out at Comic-Con.
Everybody else, yeah. And then I totally woke up and said, "What happened to the Red Skull?" Like that's like I passed out in the last like 10, 15 minutes of that movie for parts of it. Um, and and I think I passed out partially because I was kind of bored back then of this movie. And I think it's because I don't know. I don't know why I was bored. I think I forgot to bring my patience. I forgot to bring my understanding, my sympathy or my empathy for the fact that this is the first time a lot of people are meeting Captain America, and I need to be okay with the World War II story, which is important to the story of Captain America. It is. I just kept wanting a little bit more of it to be in the contemporary time.
Yeah, it
You know what I mean?
wasn't at that time. I don't think anyone anyone's idea what Captain America was World War II.
I mean, we knew that that was his baggage, but we
Yes,
didn't. But
but
we didn't
like,
want that to be the
mhm,
entire movie. I think
mhm.
So that was kind of my hang up the first time I watched it. Then I watched it many, many years later, and I was like, I'm less annoyed with this movie because I got to see how Red Skull got exited the movie, but also at the same time, I kind of like the World War II stuff now, and so now I'm a little annoyed at how we kind of glossed over it. Do you know what I mean? So like it's two different
Yeah,
times I watched
you're
it,
not
and I
wrong.
had to.
I definitely remember the discourse. Probably between this and Winter Soldier, if people did want a prequel, because I think his stock went down after Avengers.
He looks ridiculous in Avengers. He does
Or
look ridiculous.
I rather say he didn't. Avengers did nothing for Captain America in the MCU.
It did a little bit. It did a little bit, but like it didn't do as much for him as it did for the Hulk or Thor or Black Widow or Hawkeye, you know what I mean, or Iron Man.
Yeah,
I think Captain America had the least toothy moments in Avengers. Do I think he had some awesome moments in Avengers? Yes, he did. And we can talk about those next time, when we get to that. But I feel what you're saying is that like Avengers got you more hyped for all the other characters that we'd already met
yeah,
before, but Avengers also made Cap dress sillier. I think he looks worse in Avengers than he does in Captain America, the first
100%.
Avenger. That suit that they designed for him in this movie is chef's kiss. It is so awesome. I am
Both of
okay.
them.
Both of them, yes, the silly one and the legit one. Like they're both really good interpretations of the comic book and the era. You know what I mean? Like because the colors are going to be muted. Like we don't have access to the crazy dyes that we do nowadays and fabrics and textures and stuff. So I think his look, his modernized or whatever you want to call it look in World War II is really iconic, and it's a fun thing to see the progression of him in this movie. And I think we take a lot of time with the body double, right? We spend like a good half hour with this other body double playing the wimpy version of Steve Rogers, and we have a CG head of Chris Evans on there, which it ages pretty well. I
It
would
looks good.
it,
The
it's
effects are not the best. The effects are not wrong in this movie.
they're
The
not
Red Skull looks
perfect.
good. He
Yeah.
looks good as young, skinny Steve.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But we spend time with him, and we get to know him as a person, and also we get to have Dr. Erskine meet
mhm.
him. Stanley Tucci's character, learn about Steve, and like so. The doctor is kind of like us, right? We're being informed, like, of the kind of person that Steve is and why he's the right person to be Captain America. And then Dr. Erskine has to explain that to Tommy Lee Jones's character, who's really awesome. Like I think that's a great use of injecting this celebrity into the franchise that
One and
is not
done.
that is not going to be in further stories, but he really puts a stamp on his moments in that movie. You know what I mean? Like I think both him and Stanley Tucci do a great job of propping Captain America up. You know what I mean? And I think Peggy does the best job for sure, because Peggy also shows that, like, like, yes, Steve is the guy who is Captain America, and she's really happy that it's a good person. But Peggy clearly demonstrates that she's absolutely capable of doing everything that Steve does through most of this movie. It's pretty awesome to see her being her greatest enemy in that whole movie is misogyny. Like, everybody looks down at Peggy, even though she constantly demonstrates she's overqualified at everything she does. And it's a really cool thing to bring up in this kind of movie. You know what I mean? Because it is topical today for sure, but it's really cool to see it in the context of the 1940s, and know that if Peggy had existed at a different time, life could be a lot better for her.
We got the payoff of that and what if.
Yeah, but so you have a great supporting cast, and then on top of that, Sebastian Stan, before any of us knew who he was, he's there, he's serviceable, he's competent, he's doing the thing,
It's to your point, it's a sampler platter of Captain America.
Yeah, we have a third actor playing Howard Stark at this point, and Dominic Cooper puts his own stamp on it. It's charming. I kind of like it. It's a little jarring that this is the third actor to play Tony Stark in 5 movies, right? After 5 movies, it's kind of weird. But yeah, no, it's a cool group of characters, and they're all making us believe, yeah, man, this guy is super cool. Like, he's a really good guy. And so I like the time that we take with that part. And then I think once he becomes Captain America, they just put the pedal to the metal, and it goes from like 0 to 100 in seconds. And then, like, it's action, action. Like, he does so much action that they have to montage it.
Yeah.
And that got weird for me, because I was like, I kind of wanted to see more of him kicking the crap out of Nazis. You know what I mean? Like, that's so I think that's the problem I have with the movie, is I kind of wish it was about a half hour longer. Like, that's a weird thing to want out of this movie. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think I wanted that, but I do see your point. It does, that middle flies by.
It's fast, right?
Like,
Yeah.
once the Red Skull is, I don't say outed, but like, oh, he is the Red Skull, and it's a guy with the fucking Red Skull. That movie doesn't stop for like 45 minutes. And then when you finally catch a breather, it's like, all right, we're gonna go to the super secret base to take him out.
I know, right? They just,
And
like,
it's just like, oh man, we're okay at the end of the movie here.
and you're not even allowed to, like, absorb Bucky's death for very long too, right? Like, it's like, Bucky died, now I'm mad, we're invading Red Skull's base. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, and I guess that's war, right? Like, war is, you don't have time to mourn, you do that when you come back home.
but
I guess.
watching the movie is such a treat though, because you really do see all the stuff that, again, like Iron Man, all that stuff paid off in that movie. The Bucky dying, the Arnim Zola, his little doodles, like, he does turn into what he should be at some point.
Yeah.
The Red Skull, of course, with his teleporting out of here for like a decade.
The cosmic cube,
The cosmic cube,
the Tesseract, yeah.
Really being built up to, like, showing the real power scale of these objects. And this is before, correct me if I'm wrong, but the cosmic cube pre-Avengers in the comics is one thing, and the Infinity Stones are another.
Yeah, in the comics, the cosmic cube's a separate thing.
Yeah,
and it is the thing that the Red Skull is going after all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that was a cool, like, I mean, granted, we don't find that out till, I don't think they revealed that in the Avengers. They don't.
You're correct. It's not till Infinity War that we find out what the cosmic cube is.
I feel like we knew before that though.
No, because Thanos crushes it and there's a stone inside of it. Remember?
Yeah.
It's
I feel like
Infinity War.
we knew what it was, so you know what I mean? I can't pinpoint when we like knew as like, okay, this is what they're doing. Probably when they made the ether and Loki staff.
Maybe. I mean, we might have guessed that the cosmic cube was probably one of the six,
Yeah.
but we didn't necessarily know it was a space stone, even though it teleports Red Skull somewhere else. You know, like I think they would have been theorized for a while. You know, so but you know, Thanos confirms it when he finally crushes
it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a there's a lot set up in this movie. Like this movie does about as much as Iron Man for world building, right? But it's building like almost the other half of the Marvel universe. Like it's even building up some of the stuff that we just got from Thor, right? It's actually like it's like, oh yeah, hey, by the way, here's Yggdrasil, like the tree of life. Yeah, like this is where they keep one of Odin's artifacts safe, you know, in a monastery in Norway. And it's like, okay, yeah, we're really doing this, you know, like it's it just solidifies it kind of lays down the glue across
Actually,
all the things.
the only thing that didn't pay off, this synthetic man.
Not yet. Not yet. But yeah, no, it. I think that the cool thing that this movie does is it really gets us ready for Avengers because it fills in all of the cracks between Iron Man 1, Hulk, or Incredible Hulk, sorry, Iron
it
Man
touches
2,
on everything that went
and
before it
all
in a neat way.
all four of those movies. Yeah.
And
It really connects them all, and it makes you feel like, okay, these really do exist in the same universe. And then just as an icing on the cake, here's Nick Fury at the end. You know what I mean? So now you know all five movies are connected for reals.
some assembly required.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is one of those movies, like I said before, where it's like if you look at it as an issue in a larger story, like a chapter, you know, chapter 5 of the giant Marvel story, it's really competent and really well executed. Like it really is. I think I got greedy and I wanted more specific Captain America moments, but I think that's not what these movies are about. Is they're not trying to give you every single thing you want. They're trying to leave you wanting more, right? Like that's kind of the goal. And so if you look at it from that point of view and think about like, man, that Hydra busting montage he did, I wish there was more. But then think about all the other cool things we see Captain America do for the next 6, 7 years or 8 years. I'm like, no, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Like it's so, yeah.
I will give this credit. I will give credit to this movie for giving us like the first true score in the MCU.
Yeah,
like
it's cool.
I would bet anyone that they couldn't tell me Iron Man's theme, Thor's theme, but everyone kind of knows the Captain America theme, and they stuck with it.
But also, they gave us that awesome theme song too, like when Captain America, like that song is written by Alan Menken. Do you know who Alan Menken is?
Nope.
That guy is the composer for Disney's like greatest movies.
Oh.
He did the music for Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. Like I think he worked on Lion King. Like he worked, you know, that golden era of like the 90s Disney movies that everybody praises, like all the movies that they're being remade into live action.
Yes.
You know, like he's responsible for all of that music. And so like they got him to write this funny little like Captain America song for this movie, and it's quite catchy, man. And I think that's cool. It's a cool thing. But yes, you're right. The score is awesome. I mean, we will get better scores as we go through the MCU, but yes, this is probably the first time that we got a real, like a score that really sticks.
The score is so good is like when they They use it for Winter Soldier. They tweak it ever so slightly when the Falcon comes out. And when the Falcon got his show, they used the tweak Falcon theme and made it fancier and like more Cajun themed. That's how good this score is. Like it's spawned like 2 other theme songs at this point.
Yeah. But I mean, it should be noted that like I think this movie feels a lot like a lot of movies a lot of timeless movies that take place in older periods of time. And I think it's because the director, Joe Johnston, like has that pedigree, right? Like he worked on Raiders of the Lost Ark as a visual effects person, right? He directed The Rocketeer. You've never seen The Rocketeer, have you?
I've only played the game.
Okay, the game's really cool too.
I know about the Rocketeer though.
Yeah, we'll watch that one sometime for the show, but you'll like The Rocketeer because The Rocketeer feels a hell of a lot like this movie. Like they basically just said, "Hey Joe, can you do the thing you did with The Rocketeer for this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got you." And it really is. They these movies have a lot of the same DNA, and they feel epic. They feel timeless, and they just feel like it's romanticizing this time period
Mm-hmm.
in all the best ways. You know what I mean? Like obviously they don't really heavily like focus on the horrific parts of this time period, right? Because that's not what this movie's trying to do. Like it's trying to keep you in a positive place, right? So they have to cherry pick what parts of World War II we are exposed to in this movie, and that's okay. It's okay for this because like I don't really need Captain America to have like massive levels of PTSD going into the Avengers. That's not no, please no thanks. You know, like and so you
Why
know
is he
it
racist?
right, exactly. See, there's a lot of things that Captain America could have been, but they chose to do the romantic version of a hero that's lost in time from this period of time, right? He's the best parts of what uh, America should be, right? That's because even in his time period, like he's really frustrated with the way the system is put in place to not allow somebody who just wants to give what they have to give to help win this war against clear evil.
Yeah, to do the
Like
part.
yeah, he can't he's looked down on because of all of his shortcomings, and I think that's the beauty of Erskine, or Dr. Erskine, is he's no, you are the exact person that should be this my test subject. And then it just becomes this grand adventure movie for the rest of the time, and I'm not going to fault it for that because it feels a little Spielbergian. It feels a little like it's got a lot of qualities that are just really charming, and so I'm not mad at it. I really love it. I think Peggy like is the only character that gets to come back for the rest of them, except Bucky, right? Peggy and Bucky are the only characters that come back for these movies, and I think it's cool. It's cool to see those characters grow. I'm sad that the Howling Commandos like don't really ever get to come back in any meaningful way. Dum Dum Dugan does make a cameo in an episode of Agent Carter at some point. Like, yeah, but yeah, I will say this movie makes me super excited to continue the journey from now on, right? Like I think if we can debate about which ones are bigger fumbles, like is Iron Man 2, is it Incredible Hulk, or is it Thor? They all kind of like they waver a little bit, right? But
Mm-hmm.
they don't quite fumble the ball. But all I know is that if to make the big game metaphor, Captain America got us to the end zone, like, and now we're ready for the Avengers. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think that's really cool. Like that like Iron Man kicked it all off, and then here we are with Captain America. And I think it's really important that Captain America nailed that landing because these two are the strongest characters in the MCU for at least the first three phases, right? Like they're gonna have the most impactful moments, and then they're gonna even come at odds with each other. And so it's really cool to see how much time was put into establishing character. Because I think that was the problem you were having with Thor last week, where right is that like we were having, like, he's kind of whiny. He's a whiny bitch through most of that movie, right?
But to your point with the Cap, like you get to see the seeds of his character, and you see him like I think to your point, they do a good job of showing him conflicted again with what's going on around him and what his situation is
in every movie.
And
yeah,
and I think the beauty with the Cap that we got is he makes the right choices, whether he intends to or not. He does make the right call, and
or at least he's committed to them being right in his mind. Like,
yes, well, to the point where we get to the point where, like, again, Falcon and Winter Soldier, where they're having these debates on, like, well, what's wrong with the serum? Like, we can probably do it now, and they're like, no, it's not do it. And they're like, well, Steve did it, and like, well, there's no one like Steve. There hasn't been another Steve. And you really see how special he is, even without the serum. And that's the trick, right? Captain America is not just a super soldier. He's a good man.
Yes, he's a good man first. That's the most important aspect of him. And so that's why I really did enjoy watching Stanley Tucci just nail his only 15-20 minutes that he's in this movie tops, like, because he sees that thing that all the recruiters don't see in Steve. Like, he sees the thing that Tommy Lee Jones doesn't see. Like, like, I won't say that Peggy doesn't see it. She's clearly always just like, yeah, I can see it, but nobody listens to me, kind of thing. Like, it's there's something to be really appreciated about the slow journey that movie takes in the beginning, because it really lets you know who he is, and it also lets you know why Bucky is his best friend. You know what I mean? Because, like, Bucky sees the person he is that no one else does too. And so it's going to make for a really amazing moment when we get to Captain America 2, because, like, I will never forget the people gasping like an hour into that movie when they reveal that it's Bucky. And I'm like, you couldn't tell? Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome that you didn't see that coming. That's cool. Like, it was like one of those, like, it's like the I am your father in Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, that was cool to see that play out. So I'm happy that all the seeds were planted in this movie, and that they all grow into something beautiful, with the exception of the synthetic man, which you're correct. We have not gotten that Human Torch. And so, or flying cars, damn it.
What are you talking about? You watch the whole fucking show with a flying car.
What are you talking about?
Isn't Agent Coulson's car in S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Oh God, that car is terrible. Okay, fine. I just meant, like, flying. Like, we as an American people have been promised flying cars for decades.
Oh, that car, that car had so much nuclear material. All those people died of cancer.
That's fair. But you're right. Agent Coulson did have a flying car, so I should shut up. I forgot.
I mean, technically, Sam Jackson had a flying car in Winter Soldier. It just didn't work when he's stuck in the SUV.
You're right. Yeah. Fair enough.
But this is a fun watch. It's a fun watch, especially again going into Captain America 4: Brave New World.
Which we'll be talking about next week, right?
Which we'll be talking about next week,
along with Spider-Man.
Along with the Spider-Man.
Maybe I'll watch some Invincible at some point.
Maybe I'll watch some Invincible at some point.
And Harley Quinn. No, you're not going to watch Harley Quinn.
I'm not going to watch Harley Quinn.
It's cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate this one. This was a fun one. I'm really happy that we watched this. I think this one has risen in my estimation of like I might have to re-rank my MCU like within hindsight, you know what I mean? But like, I do know that Winter Soldier is and will always be one of my
It's the
favorite
bar.
movies.
It's one of the bars.
Yeah. But I think the reason Winter Soldier actually is so good is because it's an excellent sequel to this movie. And I think that's important to note. Like, Winter Soldier doesn't, we like to say that it stands on its own as just a great movie, but I know for a fact that that Bucky moment when he's revealed, it matters because of this movie, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
say what you will about Guardians, and Guardians great, came out before Winter Soldier. That was a great movie, no denying that. But Winter Soldier knocking it out of the park, really like, oh shit, they can really do this
They can
for
do this. Yeah.
another 5 movies,
Yeah.
right? They're not done, nowhere near done.
They're nowhere near
And
done. And
that's the beauty of that movie.
yeah. And I
But
think I applaud anybody who saw this Captain America and already felt that way, because they saw the seeds being planted in ways that I didn't quite. Like, I didn't, maybe it's that I still was filled with skepticism because of all the bad superhero movies that we'd gotten in our lives. But I when I see so many seeds planted, because I see them planted in the movie, I see the synthetic man. I know what it is. I see, the cosmic cube. I see these nods to to Iron Man and Howard Stark. I see all of this stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, but is it going to pay off? You know what I mean? And so, the skeptical Dennis of 2011 is very much happy to see where things have played out now. So it's and I think that's a really important thing to remember as we continue in this journey, because it's really easy to dislike the new MCU movies and shows and stuff like that, because we seem to believe that, like, oh, they're notably worse than what they used to be. But I'm like, but we didn't used to know where this was going, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And so I think the hindsight of it all is always going to change how we look at this. So and they're really great at revising, like, constantly. They revise on the go. That's kind of like their best skill. So let them, and just go and enjoy it. And like you said, are you entertained for those 2 hours? If you're entertained, it's probably a good movie.
we hope you were entertained for this past 1 hour, ladies and gentlemen. But I think that's where we're gonna wrap it up for
Nice.
this week. Stay tuned, because next week we're talking Captain America again, but we're skipping all the way to 4. Captain America: Brave New World. We'll also talk about some new Spider-Man. That'll happen.
And then maybe
Yeah.
the week after we'll resume our journey in revisiting the old movies. Yeah. All right, cool. I'm good. Let's get out of here. Thanks so much. Like and subscribe. And I hope you did like it.
Hope you did. And with that, true believers, no.